Bridezilla expects her friends to work like slaves to make her wedding live up to her expectations. I'm getting married to my wonderful fiancée this fall. A week ago, I had a bachelorette party. While most girls dream of their weddings, I dreamt about my bachelorette weekend. I put a lot of planning into this weekend, made a lot of phone calls, reservations, everything basically. For Thursday night through Sunday morning, me and 25 of my closest girlfriends rented a house. From the start, it was a disaster. I'd told my girls to get the house early on Thursday so they could decorate and set up before I got there. Well, I got to the house at 3 and they weren't done decorating, so that bummed me out because I wanted that wow moment when I came in and saw the setup. I felt robbed, but we still had a decent first night. Friday, I woke everyone up at 7 a.m. to make breakfast and get ready because we had a packed day. Vineyards, boat, lunch, happy hour drinks, then dinner, and the clubs. I was getting shaded on all afternoon because people said they were being rushed from place to place and had to carry changes of clothes all day, but we only had limited time in the city and I wanted to make the most of it. Saturday was worse. We had a brunch at 9 a.m. and no one was awake in time, so it only ended up being me and a few loyal bridesmaids. We went shopping after for a few hours, and when we got back to the house, no one was even apologetic, even though I was close to tears all day. The last straw for me was later that night, when we were going to dinner and nobody was wearing the matching shirts we got for the weekend. People wanted to wear their own stuff, but that's not what we agreed on, even though my maid of honor notified everyone. At that point, I said, F this weekend, it's ruined, and locked myself in my room to cry. It was even worse when I came out a few hours later and half the girls had gone out anyway, without me, aka the actual bride. I ended up driving home early on Sunday and left the house a mess for the girls to pick up because I was so upset. Now it's been almost a week, no one has really texted me except for some bridesmaids and the maid of honor. Look, I know I sound Bridezilla-ish, but these were supposed to be my friends and we were supposed to celebrate me all weekend, and I felt neglected and I'm just really upset. I understand these expectations may seem like a lot, but I made my expectations clear to the group and they just let me down so bad. Tell me, am I the jerk? Okay, here's an update because people are asking me the same questions. 1. Yes, I have 25 people who I genuinely wanted to celebrate with. 6 of them are in my wedding party and the other 19 were college friends, childhood friends, work friends, and a few others. Second, the maid of honor sent out the itinerary weeks ago. It was very clear the activities I'd planned and their prices per person. If someone wanted to skip out, it wouldn't be a problem, but all the girls paid accordingly, so they knew what they were getting themselves into. Okay, second update. Well, I'm very clearly the jerk. I've decided to apologize for wanting one weekend to be about me. I need to rethink my friend group and make some changes to the wedding invite list. Thanks! So at first the narrator was more inclined to say that the author wasn't that bad, just because I've seen so many worse examples of bridezillas, like that famous one who listed an obligatory cash gift from each of their wedding attendees, among other craziness. This lady doesn't seem as bad as some of the real shockers online, and like she says, her maid of honor gave all of these people a proper forewarning. But the more I reread this, the more I came to the conclusion that this sounds like a weekend that seemed a bit too much like forced fun, and that neither I nor many of the people I know would actually enjoy. Also, isn't a bachelorette or bachelor party meant to be between like 3 or 10 people? 25 is an impossible group to wrangle, and with that many it's unlikely that all or even most of them are the die-hard friends who are prepared to go through all the craziness of an event like that. I think the point of only having some of your besties there is that they'll be more prepared to put your happiness first. Kinda seems like you were expecting this big group of acquaintances and well-wishers to go through a pretty involved timetable, when most of them probably would have been much happier just having a few nights of simple partying. At least you seem capable of learning from your mistakes and accepting the criticism of others, so I'll confirm my theory that you seem like a much better person than most of the monsters we hear about. Keep learning and growing as a person, and hopefully the experience doesn't taint your wedding too much. Teacher makes false claim of me faking an injury, so my mum messes with her career. I'm 15 and have had a long and elaborate history with injuries, especially breaking my arm. Starting from literally the day I was born, my health has been complicated. I have a few conditions, but none serious enough to impact my daily life as I know it. I have a very weak immune system and somewhat easy to break bones. On top of that, I am the definition of clumsy, and I'm also a huge idiot who gets herself into dangerous situations for fun. My mum has obviously known me from birth and knows just the extent of my weird bad luck and health issues. I've broken my arms a collective 13 times over my entire life, and almost every time I got injured or sick, it seems somebody had something to say about it. I don't know why, but teachers just love to say that students that get hurt often are attention-seeking fakers, and a lot of relationships with authority figures have been harmful because of this. Every time, it's the same. For some reason, a teacher doesn't believe me, they call me a liar in front of everyone. I get bullied for a while, and then I have to try and prove that I'm not faking. I could post so many stories about teachers doing this, but this is a story about the time my mum actually managed to get revenge. This all took place around 7th grade. I was 12 at the time, and I'd broken my wrist by climbing on top of something that I wasn't supposed to, and then falling off like an idiot. My wrist was in a Velcro cast since I'm very allergic to the regular cast material, as they figured out through many cases of trial and error. My teacher, let's call her Mrs. Tablet since this took place while we were learning about Egyptian tablets. She taught history and our personalities clashed a bit. I'm more of a creative, adventurous, free thinker type, and she was very conservative, by the book, and proper. We hadn't had any real issues before this, but we just didn't mesh well. She was absent one day and we had a substitute in. I knew the sub as one of my teacher's friends and one of my bully's mums. I didn't like her, but I was still respectful in class and just tried to get my work done. She got me in trouble for doodling on my paper once or twice, but other than that, everything was fine, or so I thought. The next day I went into class like usual. We were working on an assignment about Egypt and their tables when Mrs. Tablet called me over to her desk. I went over thinking she'd just get into me for drawing on the back of my homework or something, only to be bombarded with a bunch of really weird questions. The interaction went something like this. "So, Fiona, do you know why I called you up here?" No, ma'am, I can't say that I do," I replied. "How long have you had that cast?" "About a week now. Why?" "Do you really need that cast?" Yes?" "Well, the substitute told me she saw you take it off." "It's a cast. I can't take it off. It would hurt." "So if I asked the class, they'd say you need that cast?" "Yes." "And if I called your parents right now, they'd say the same thing?" "Yes, they were the ones who took me to the hospital." And she did this in front of the whole class. I was eventually dismissed and people looked at me weird for the rest of the class. As I later learned, apparently the substitute had told Mrs. Tablet that I'd taken off my cast as soon as I left class. I didn't do that, by the way, and that I'd thrown it in my locker like, haha, I'm getting away with doing less work. So basically, she pretended I was a bad guy in a crappy high school movie. I don't know why the sub said this, but it had my teacher convinced I was a liar and a fake. I technically could remove my cast since it was Velcro, but that would have been extremely painful, and it's not like I could just walk around without it. I wasn't going to make a big deal about it at the time, but it turns out she was serious about calling my parents. But she made the mistake of calling my mum. Now, me and my mother don't have a perfect relationship. She has anger issues, so we don't always get along well. But she loves me very much and doesn't let people like this mess with me if she can stop it. According to my mum, Mrs. Tablet called her all cocky and said things like, "Apparently your daughter is wearing a cast. Did you know that?" And, "Well, we all know how dramatic teenage girls can be, especially unique children like her." She apparently even threatened to have me suspended before my mother stopped her and tore her to shreds for talking about her child like that. I don't think I'm allowed to repeat what was said, but by the end, Mrs. Tablet had to retreat with her tail tucked between her legs. She started being even more cold to me after that day, and started giving me unfair detentions for not sitting still and doodling on the side of my worksheets. Even then, outside of school, we went to the same art studio sometimes. Weird that someone who hates art so much likes to paint, right? And she poisoned the art director against me, and got me put into a lower class. When my mum found out about this, she started the real revenge. My mum has never been a PTA mum. She honestly can't stand most of the PTA members, and their kids are chosen as favorites at my school and use this power to bully others, including me and my friends. My mum is, however, friends with a very lovely woman on the county's school board, which has more power than the PTA. She told her friend everything that had happened and supplied all of the doctor's notes needed to prove that I was in a cast. Her friend managed to convince the rest of the board that Mrs. Tablet was discriminating against an impaired student, given her comments about me being slower at work and just wearing the cast to slack off, along with detentions related to me not sitting still when she knew I had nervous movements and slight ADHD. At the art studio, my mother pulled me from the classes. I took it upon myself to inform the fellow kids about why, and rumors spread quickly. Soon enough, kids were getting pulled left and right, and my art teacher was pulling at strings to try and get the situation under control. I actually think the studio went into a temporary closure before reopening again. My history teacher was suspended for a week to go under investigation, and it turns out she treated a lot of the unique, as she put it, students in the similar way. She was verbally reprimanded by 2 different departments, and instead of getting her standard raise over the next 3 years, she'll only get half of that. Not only that, but she had to retake a course on how to properly treat students. And if she's ever caught crossing this line again, she'll lose tenure. She'll just be getting her bonus back at the start of the next school year, and I'd just like to say that I hope she's learned her lesson. In short, teacher claims I'm faking my broken wrist, calls my mum calls her friend at the county school board and gets her suspended for discrimination, and gets unfair art program temporarily closed. Well, on the one hand, if the teacher really did generally discriminate against multiple kids with physical and learning difficulties like that, she probably deserved the retraining that she had to take as a result of all this. And it was really crappy of her to get individuals outside of the school system to target our author. Let's echo the author's sentiment that hopefully they learn their lesson and start to implement more constructive ways of dealing with the, quote, problem kids. I will say that I don't love that we got her punished via connections instead of some sort of proper investigative process via the PTA. Feels like if someone can exploit a connection like this for a good purpose, it would be equally easy to unfairly persecute teachers via the same channels. But assuming that everything the author says is true, at least they arrived at more or less the same conclusion a PTA investigation might have, and a bit quicker too. Our author seems a bit like a daily medical time bomb, but I guess brittle bones, ADHD, and klutziness lead to a lot more lifestyle interruptions than would be ideal. Hopefully you're doing well as you age out of your impulsive teenage years, with better teachers who don't unfairly treat you for your more neurodivergent habits. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, linked below. Also, go to AmITheJerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Rude customer vs. union worker. AKA, I'll still have my job long after you're gone, fool. I was working at the postal station from hell. Had a piece of rolling equipment get caught in a piece of broken tile and pop up then onto my toe. Shattered the toenail. I was lucky not to have a broken toe from it too. So I'm on light duty, which meant I had to work the service window where people come to pick up packages, signature required mail, fill out change of address and hold mail forms, stuff like that. Remember, I have a foot injury. This means that getting around is not easy for me. Had a customer come in about an hour before closing, who hands over 2 pick up your mail forms for certified letters. You guys probably don't realize this, but in big city facilities, we don't have your certified mail sitting in a gold case all by itself, and postal workers staring wistfully at it, wondering when we'll see you. No, we have your mail sorted out by the last number of your street address, in trays with hundreds of other certified letters just like yours. This means it can take quite a while to find your mail when you finally drag your butt in to pick it up. So I go looking for these 2 letters. It was a recent enough thing that I checked the stand-up cubby we had for the latest certified to pickups. Not there. So I hobbled to the longer-term storage area, about 10 feet from the door. I finally find both letters and go to the window. The customer tells me that he wants to talk to the postmaster because I took 3 minutes to get his mail, and that this was unacceptable. I tried to convince him to get the party more likely to be on the premises to handle his complaint, a supervisor, but nope, he's adamant about speaking to the postmaster. Hint, people, the later in the day it is, the less likely the postmaster will be there. But okay, you want the postmaster? You get the postmaster. I smile and tell him, sure, I'll go get him now, and I shut the door, with his mail still in my hand. You thought 3 minutes was a long wait? You just activated a union worker trap card, bub. Now, I did go to the postmaster's office first, but as usual, he wasn't in there. Still, I made a good faith effort to look there. I didn't see him on the floor either, so I checked the dock, conveniently getting in a smoke while I was out there. Nasty former habit. I checked the break room and stopped to drink a soda while I was in there. I knocked on the men's room's door. No answer. Whoops. That soda just worked its way through me. Need to use the ladies' room now. I was about to check the parking lot to see if his car was even there. Oh, look. There's the postmaster, coming back from an off-site meeting. I take the time to bring him up to speed on the customer's complaint. This guy knew me and smiled. How long have you kept him waiting now? I said, I think it's been 25 minutes. You can deal with him while I handle the paperwork. He grinned. Oh, this'll be fun. You're lucky I like you because you're a hard worker, though. The customer was absolutely livid when the door finally opened again. He demanded that I be fired right then and there. As if that's how it works in a union job. My boss, to his credit, chewed out the customer for being such a jerk to an injured employee who'd actually done a great job in taking only 3 minutes to find 2 letters amongst hundreds, in 2 separate locations. He even took one of the trays over to the ledge, slammed it down and said, "See how long it takes you to go through this and find not 1 but 2 letters, and then tell me 3 minutes is too long." Lesson to be learned? Union workers don't have to take crap off dirtbags. We won't, so spare yourself a whole lot of grief and chill the F out. It's only male for crying out loud. I mean, I love this, but you're doing nothing for the stereotype that union workers can be kind of lazy and complacent with the protections they have. For the record, I think everyone should unionize, but there are figures, especially those who have to deal with blue-collar unions, who seem to hold that stereotype. I'm glad that you seem to exercise yours only when a customer is being needlessly crappy to you for no good reason. Imagine trying to destroy someone's working life because of a 3-minute wait on any service. Doesn't matter what product or employee you're asking, that's a speedy time. I'd be stoked if the secure post in my small town got to me within 3 minutes. Our author was doing a great job. I'm very happy that your boss stood up for you, as, union or not, he could actually get you in trouble if you really were in the wrong. The customer is clearly the jerk here and also has way too much time for this sort of thing if he's standing around lodging complaints every time he has a minor inconvenience. Am I the jerk for telling my wife she needs to find another job? Me and my wife have been married for 4 years. During those 4 years, she had the same job, which requires her to be away Friday to Sunday. So she leaves early on Friday and returns about 4 to 5 p.m. on Sunday. Occasionally, it would be leaving on Saturday and returning Sunday. She also has to work some of the school and public holidays. I work full-time and get just a bit above minimum wage and tips, so our bills are split 60, her, to 40, me. While I find myself struggling with money and having to borrow from the joint bank account, my wife never has this problem. I know she's getting paid more than I do as she works for a high-profile client, but I'm not sure how much more. She also wouldn't tell me exactly what she's doing. All I know is it's connected to her degree, and it's 100% not a working girl or anything in that industry. The reason why she won't tell me is because she signs the contract, and it's highly confidential, so she's not allowed to go into details. She does chores around the house, but doesn't cook. She admits herself she's a bad cook and hates it. Instead, she'll either order those pre-made healthy meals that you heat up for yourself, or takeaway. When I'm home and she hasn't ordered, she'll order for me too. So most of the day while I'm working, she's either in our house chilling, watching TV, playing video games, reading, or exercising, or shopping, or in the gym. Over the years, I got annoyed with this, and I've asked her to find another job so she has something to do while I'm working instead of wasting her day. She told me she isn't wasting her day but relaxing, and her job pays her enough that she can afford the lifestyle she wants. I said it's not fair on me as I come home tired while she's done nothing all day. To which she said I can find another job or a different job, but I'm a jerk for wanting her to find another job because I feel tired when coming back from my work, when she already has a job she loves. After that, she won't talk to me. I've spoken to my family, and while my parents agree with me that she needs to work, my sisters took my wife's side and called me a massive butthole. I'm not saying she needs to quit the job she has, I'm saying she needs to find another job to do during her free time. Could be a part-time one since she doesn't really do much during the day. Well, to put it bluntly, you are the jerk. This lady is carrying the bulk of the bills in the household and you don't think she's working enough? Actually, it's worse than that. You actively just resent the fact that she has free time to enjoy. Pal, if she's pulling her weight, then you are not allowed to be angry about her happiness. The people we love doing well should make us aspire to be as happy as them, not try to drag them down to our level. You even say that she does chores and pays for meals for the both of you. There's a lot of us that would be thrilled to have a breadwinner like this. You don't know what you're talking about, and if you don't like the situation, you can step aside, as I'm certain that there are any number of guys and girls listening to this video who'd be thrilled to take your high-earning, cleaning, gamer dream girl off your hands. Wake up and smell the roses, my dude. You have a sweet home life. Maybe get qualified so you can get a higher-paying job you like more. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. Put the playlist on in the background to finish listening to all the stories. Or if you want to check out some great music, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, give Am I the Genius a shot. Everything linked in the description.